Come one, come all to the 171st episode of Sawdust Nation podcast with your host, AJ from Crafted and NJ, your secondary host, Nap from Nap's Naughty Works, and your third host, your third beautiful, furry, floppy-eared host, Josh's dog from Wolf's Country Woodworking. I meant Josh from North Country Woodworking. If you can't see the podcast, Josh is holding a very cute, adorable little dog with the most floppiest, adorable ears you've ever seen. And that dog definitely wants to come to New Jersey and not stay down there. Definitely. Look at that dog. Oh, my God. I wish you guys could all see the dog. Josh, that's inappropriate. This is a PG show. This is a family show, Josh.
Yes,
so on today's episode, we're going to do what we normally do. We're just going to hang around, talk about shop, and also get into some topics that I don't know anything about because I came late to the party today. So I'm going to throw it over to, I think I'm going to throw it over to Josh we're going to go with you, Josh. You're pointing to my wall right now. So yeah, there you go. That's it. So actually, Josh wants me to go with Nap. So Nap, I want to know what is happening in your shop of shops.
Well, I'll tell you what. So last episode, we went down this huge rabbit hole about procrastination, and I had to give like a 30-second primer of what was going on in the shop. But a lot has been going on in the shop as of late. And I will tell you my current name on the podcast is When the F Did It Become Tuesday? Because I feel like I've time traveled. It feels like forever ago, but then also not. But here we are, and a lot going on in Nap's Naughty Works, also known as the Two-Car Garage, also known as the shop. I talked about a couple projects that I was working on last week, and I'm finally coming to finish a few of them, a little bit of over-engineering on one of them, and then a couple of bulk orders, if you will, as far as production work is concerned. So I got the F-15E 20mm barrel plaque that is shaped like an F-15E Strike Eagle. If you just look it up on Google, you can find what the shape of that would look like. But I was tasked to make a wall mount for a barrel. The barrel is roughly, it's 25 pounds, roughly, give or take. And it has to be able to hang on this thing. So I went through and I over-engineered some things, and I will post a video now that I've actually put it together and I know it works. Because, if I posted it didn't work, it's like, well, that was a fail. But I also had some blunders with this thing. So, funny thing about making hangers for something that has a machine pocket for it and tolerances and all these things. So I went to go, I would say not hammer, but mallet in one of the hangers. And I had the entire wingtip snap off on me in the middle of me putting it on. That was scary. But surprisingly enough, I did not freak out. I ended up fixing it, and it's now put together. And
you didn't sit there, ponder about just selling everything and just quitting and
surprisingly
trying to figure out how not to freak out.
This time around, it's funny because if you went back about a year or two ago when I freaked out about a trunk that I was making, I actually did not freak out about this one. It was a clean break. So okay. I was able to glue it back on. It was part of the wingtip, so I was able to glue the wingtip back on and put a clamp on it, but also still put the hanger back in there. So after I, shaved off a little bit more off the hanger, I was able to fit it in nice and snug, glue and everything. And with the way I engineered this thing, if you remember from the last episode, I talked about how on the back side there's a piece that'll actually hold the hanger on, a little bit of extra stability. Well, that extra stability also holds that wingtip on where it snapped. So it snapped right at the point where that screw is going to hold it in. It holds the barrel just fine. And then the best part is I still have to epoxy the engraving portion of it, which goes all the way through the wing. So once all of that's epoxied and everything, that thing ain't coming apart. And you can't even tell that it even broke, to be honest.
Best possible outcome that you could have had, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Had it broke any other way, I would be freaking out because I'm trying to send this thing out Thursday, and it's currently, and you'll laugh, But I had 2 wire hangers that I hung from a ladder that's currently hanging from the ceiling of my garage right now. I took the hangers and I hung the F-15 by the horizontal stabs or stabilizers, and I was able to stain it and do all these things. Well, it's currently sitting in there right now drying because stain takes forever, even with my trick of adding what's called Japan dryer to it. It's drying right now, and before the end of tonight, I'll be able to throw some lacquer over it, which, by the way, if you didn't know, and this might not be the right thing, someone's going to say, Nap, that's not the way to do that. If you let stain dry for a few hours, okay, and you take lacquer and you put it over stain, it actually cures smooth, non-sticky, non-tacky, and a smooth finish. I don't know why, because science.
When you say lacquer, you're not talking about like a poly or anything. You're talking about straight up lacquer.
Yep, straight lacquer. Like for some folks use Minwax, some people use Deft. I'm using Wacko, whatever the heck it's called.
Okay, yeah.
So probably tonight before I go to bed, I'll spray that whole thing with some lacquer, let it cure overnight, give it a quick 800 grit sand over, just knock down the bumps, throw another coat on there, and then I'll wait, a couple more hours, and I'll be able to throw the epoxy in there.
Now, I got a quick question. Why do you choose lacquer over a poly? More durability?
Not necessarily durability. So, funny thing, in our shops, what is the one thing we battle the most in shops when it comes to finish? Humidity, but what else? Dust. So, best thing about lacquer, one, the more humid it is, the quicker lacquer actually cures. Because it's got what's called nitrocellulose in it, and yes, because science. When lacquer hits the surface,
science guy.
When lacquer hits a damp surface or is in a damper climate, it actually cures almost on contact. So when I spray lacquer on, I can wait literally 15 minutes and it's dry to the touch.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it all depends on your climate. But even without humidity, it works just as well.
Sprayed on, or are you brushing it?
Sprayed just because if you use a brush, one thing I noticed about brushing chemicals on chemicals, especially stain, is it'll smear. If you do like your red, white, and blue flags, if you use like a water base, it can actually smear that water base stain because it'll reactivate the actual stain itself, and it'll smear into itself. So I just spray it on, let it sit, and typically I don't have a lot of dust bumps, if you will, because that's typically what you get in a shop when you're spraying finish. But when I don't, it's a perfectly nice, smooth finish. Now, many people, and I'm sure you guys are guilty of this because I've done this more than I'd like to admit, you overspray and sometimes the finish doesn't come out as well. Well, I've learned that, a couple good coats of lacquer and a couple sands in between, and really high grit sandpaper, because lacquer does inherently dry smooth. I mean, that's why I use it. It dries fast, and I don't really have to worry about too much issues in the shop when it comes to using it. Whereas with poly, depending on what you use, if you use like a spray poly, I've noticed that stuff takes forever to dry. Whereas if you use like a wipe-on poly with stain, which I could have done here, but I didn't because lacquer is just faster. If you use the wipe-on poly with a Japan dryer mixture, it actually dries within 2 to 3 hours, and you can sand it and reuse again. But if you want things like a glossy finish, spray is just the way to go. Because I get things that look like almost a mirror. Like you shine it off light and it's damn near blinding because how shiny it is. And that's just something I've experimented with over time, using different finishes. And lacquer is just my go-to.
That's interesting. I've literally started with polyacrylic and never went away from that because it's been easy. I spray it all the time. I spray it with just a Wagner, sprayer, and it lays down nice. And dry time for me, I can probably coat a full flag probably 4 times within a full day, and probably even a couple more if I don't go too heavy with it. But I'm interested. I might have to pick up a lacquer and try that.
So yeah, you can get Deft, Minwax, any kind of lacquer. I would say that Minwax is good. It is a little more expensive. That's why I use Waco or whatever it's called. It's just a little cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
helps with the bottom line a little bit, but lacquer does literally dry on contact. So I would definitely try that out with your flags. Try it on something that obviously you're not going to give away right away. I would say definitely give it a couple tests just to see how you like it. So that's what's going on with that project. It's currently hanging in the garage, drying right now. And then I have 60 plaques I need to finish by next week, Friday. Funny story about this one. So I told Josh, you think I would have learned my lesson about people paying you ahead of time. However, I will get paid. That's not the problem. But we'll just say the event planning committee didn't plan properly, didn't fundraise appropriately, and funds have become an issue. But I will be paid, and that's the bottom line. I was a little scared because I was like, I'm really counting on this job because it's going to help the business, and I can pay off the card that I've used to start here in North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's that. So there's roughly 25 plaques completed in my shop right now. I have, quick math, 35 more to go. And we'll see how that works out. It took me a couple tests on oak. When you use oak and lasers, depending on the grain, it will engrave lighter and darker. Not all of them, though. There's a couple that are a little like, but you can still read everything, which is what's important. So that'll be done probably this weekend because I'm not trying to wait a day prior to finish the job because we talked about procrastination last episode. And I'm really trying not to procrastinate on this job because 60 plaques, that's a tall order, especially for a one-man shop. But
now, do you know 100% that they're going to go through with it? Just the funds aren't right there?
Yeah, no, it's 100% because it was a contractual agreement that I was making these, and it was already set in stone, and things are heading in the right direction. I asked the person leading it today, I was like, hey, has anything changed? Am I still doing this? They said, yes, we're just going to have to ship some of them out for the people that PCS'd, and that's fine. But being the nice guy that I am, I'm going to use some of the funds that I do get from this job, and I'm going to ship these for them. Just to a little bit of good faith, and that way for future jobs. But I'm still making a good, decent amount of money on these, so I'm not too worried about it. So those will be done. I have 9 16-inch circular plaques to make for another organization, for another council. They gave me a budget, and I told them I can make this, and they said, okay, cool. I'm going to put a patch and a coin on there, a little bit of epoxy work and cherry, and that's going to turn out really well. What's up, Josh?
How are you going to put the patch on? What's your plans for that? Are you going to inlay it, epoxy it, what?
So they gave me actual patches, and I've toyed with the idea a few times of whether I was going to put a Velcro spot on there or if I'm just going to cut a laser, a small pocket in there and stick it on there. I think I'm going to go with the Velcro route. I'll still make a small pocket, put the Velcro in the pocket, and then stick it in. It could come off, but I come off as in they'll have to take it off because Velcro, especially with a brand new patch, is pretty strong. So I'm going to do that. And then the coin is just a simple inlay. I'm going to use epoxy to actually put that in. Epoxy I found is actually a lot more resilient to being bumped. Like you can use Gorilla Glue. It works really well. But sometimes, and what I've noticed is you can still pry a coin out of a slot if it's Gorilla Glued. But if you epoxy that thing, it's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that and then epoxy a couple colors into the plaque just because I have all these eye candy pigments that, Josh and I talked about this. So many pigments, I don't use them all at once because, well, I'll tell you what, that'd be very, very impressive. But I have them at the ready. So when I need them, I have them. And I don't have to worry about oh, crap, I don't have this color. So there's that. So that project will be done probably this weekend as well because I got to glue some blanks together, cut 9 16-inch circles, and then laser them. But the lasering will come after the actual other plaques that I'm making that are due next week, Friday.
I got 2 quick questions. One question is about that barrel that you're hanging. I'm guessing it's a decommissioned barrel?
It is.
Okay. Bless you.
Bless
you. So it's a decommissioned one. Do they just chop it off or do they how do they decommission it so that it doesn't look like it's just destroyed?
Okay. So in the military, there's what's called demilitarization procedures. And in their particular case, how they're going to do that, I don't know. Because there's many different ways. But the essential thing is that it cannot be reused for any other purpose other than display. So my imagination says they're going to cut a piece of it off, which actually I have a piece of a barrel. I have 2 barrels, a barrel and a half, actually. So this is what it looks like. Okay. This is about half of one. It's missing about 30 inches off this side. So this side, you can tell it's completely destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This one was legit like, we just decided to wreck this. So this is one way you can do it. There's also cutting a notch in the actual barrel. So just cutting like a 1/4-inch notch somewhere in the barrel. But then there's also this portion. So this is the part that actually goes into the rotor of the gun. So it won't look like that when they actually do it. What they're going to do is they're probably going to cut a section off, about half of it, and they'll make it nice and flat and flush. And they're going to probably polish it, or probably chromed out. And they'll put a projectile in there. So actually chromed out like this, actually.
Oh, wow.
And this guy will actually sit inside the barrel. And it'll look like as if it had a bullet going into it. So that's how that's going to be mounted on there.
Wow. I'm guessing that blue tip is a dummy round?
So yes, there's many different ones. So this actually is just a 3D printed
round. Wow.
This is not my 3D printed round. I don't have a 3D printer, but the person let me borrow this to use it for measurements to recreate. This is what they had. So believe it or not, in the military, there's different types of rounds. And Josh, you're probably fairly familiar with these. You have blue tips, which are your target practice. So this is actually pretty similar to what an actual round would look like. It would be more of a darker blue, maybe a little more opaque looking, or flat rather. And then there's the other ones that are colored with like orange and yellow bands and black bands for the different types of munitions they are. So like orange and yellow is high incendiary, so they shoot it, it explodes and catches things on fire. You have the black ones, which are armor piercing. They go through tanks and things like that. So those are the different kinds. In this particular case, yes, that is more of a target practice round.
Wow.
So they're going to do that and mount it however they see fit. That's why I got to get it out by Thursday so they can go ahead and mount the barrel on there, figure out how they're going to make it look and whatnot. I'll get a final picture of it, which will be cool. So I can post that once it happens. But that's what they're going to do with that. That's how they demill those barrels.
Okay. Is it possible for you guys to get me a decommissioned, like Apache or anything like that? I mean, they could take the wings and the propeller off of it. I'm good with that.
I don't know if that's possible, but
like, I just want the whole thing, but I don't need it to fly. I'll ship it. I'll pay for UPS ground.
If you have enough cash, we can get you anything you want.
Man, you know, when you're talking about this barrel and then you're showing me those big ass rounds, that would be awesome to like incorporate. Like, I wish I could find a job that I could incorporate something like that onto a flag or even onto a patch or something, or I'm sorry, a plaque or something like that. I like the things that I do are pretty cool, but like working with something like that, I'd be like, this is badass. Like, why not?
Well, so I guess that's something that comes with military service is we get to do we can have access to cool stuff like that. However, like for me, I can't just be like, hey, let me get this. Typically, a lot of that stuff is just like, hey, Nat, can you make something with this? I.e., like I had a cover from a munition they released in another location, and I took pieces of that and I made the relic card thing, for example. You know, so a lot of that just comes from what do they provide me, and they say make something with it. So I think it's kind of cool that they give me creative autonomy, because a lot of them just don't know what they want. They just expect me to make something cool, and typically that's what happens. They just make something cool, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's so cool!" I'm like, "Thanks."
So, I'm sorry to keep stealing the show, but 2 more questions, real quick. What I could have swore you made that the cutout. I could have swore you made that out of MDF for some reason. That's what I'm remembering. But you made that out of what?
The relic card that I made?
No, the jet. I don't know the technical terms. You know, the plane.
The jet that I'm making now.
Yes.
That's made out of oak.
Okay. Yes, that I do recall that from last time. That's right. Now, shoot, what the hell was I just going to ask? Why the barrel? Is this like signifying? Because I know a lot of the stuff maybe from like if somebody's retiring from a certain branch, they would say, "Oh, here's a piece from my branch, so I want to bring it with me." Is that what this is?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So in this case, this particular chief that is retiring is not an aircraft maintainer. Actually, this is so we have what's called the E9 and we have what's called the chief. So same, right? E9s are people that just make the rank because they made the rank and that was their goal. Chiefs are the people that actually they make the rank but take care of their people and they do well for the organization. So this particular chief is that person. They made the organization better. They helped those around them. They brought them up, all these things. So they wanted to do something very nice for this person. And because this person is, I would say, affiliated with F-15Es and any other aircraft, that's why they did the barrel. The barrel is something that it's not easily procurable, but everything has an inspection. Well, when a barrel is out of limits or tolerance, if you will, they decommission the barrel. And then they just put a new one on there out of the box. And that's how this person is getting the barrel. Because the barrel is something that is something that they get rid of that they can repurpose, if you will. And then sometimes it's other pieces of equipment, other pieces of munitions or whatever. Like I've seen some pretty cool things given away, and sometimes you wonder how they get those things. But again, everything has an inspection criteria. Everything is deemed unserviceable, not usable, throw it in the trash. Typically is what happens. So instead of throwing it in the trash, they make it a memento or a piece of memorabilia for somebody.
Sometimes these things just happen to come with you when you leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I have a full barrel in the garage right now. That's why I'm able to size and do everything I need to do. This half piece was given to me by somebody like, yeah, I don't have any use for this. Do you want it? Sure, I'll take it. Heck yeah, I'll take that thing. Because eventually what's going to happen with this little half piece is when I start getting into metal work and stuff, I'm actually going to chop this off, make it smooth. I'm going to do something with this, and I'm going to hang it on my own plaque.
It should be a sword.
Just because I can.
I thought you were going to start building your own F-15.
No.
Like, I was going to start doing metal work, turn down this side, lengthen it a little bit, build the whole cockpit, the fuselage, the wings. Oh man, you just mentioned something else. I just saw in the chat on YouTube that Victor brought up a very good point. One piece at a time. So if you could take like one rotor blade and send it to me, then another rotor blade. How big those are? Then UPS ground, my friend, UPS ground.
Listen,
it'll be here in like 5 to 7 days.
I'm gonna tell you what, if you can recreate that piece by piece without tech data, man, hats off to you, my friend, because you deserve it.
You're just lugging this big box to UPS, and they're like, "What's in here?"
Helicopters by far have been the most documented / best manuals I've ever seen when it comes to like how things work and how to put them together and whatnot.
Yeah.
For some reason, helicopters have been the best. That's coming from someone that's been on multiple different aircraft. So you might be able to do it, man. And
so maybe. When you send me piece by piece, I hope no one's listening that's in the GOVT. But when you send piece by piece, please send the page that corresponds to that piece so that I could also build the booklet.
That's
my
$10
friend,
grand extra.
Yeah, like that's so much more money. And
look,
honestly,
man, I'll pay extra for shit. I'll put insurance on the shipping.
We're gonna name this Lord of War or something. I mean, like, this is.
And if you want to throw in a few goodies, like a little grab bag in there, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
nuts and bolts is a little extra, so you lose one.
Yeah. Just if you could label the nuts and bolts like left, right, center, I'm good with that. But you send me pictures, I'm good. I could piece it back together.
I'll send you pictures. Doesn't have what you want though.
We actually call that Chinese TOing. It's where you go look at one thing and go, yeah, that's what that looks like, and then you try to recreate it.
Okay,
but yeah,
That is pretty cool though. I've been tempted, not tempted. I've been taunted a couple times by a few customers because they say to me, "Oh, my son was in the Marines or whatnot, and he has his sword," and I'm like, I can put that on a flag. I would love to. The coolest thing that I've ever got to touch military wise was somebody had a rifle stock. And they wanted me to laser engrave. So this is when I first got my Ortor.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was nerve wracking because it was a one and done. If I screwed that up, that was it. And it was for a Marine branch. It was Marines 1801 or something like that. I don't remember where they were out of, but I did a few things for them. And this guy reached out. He actually wanted me to make a stock, and I'm like, I've never made one before, but I could give it a shot. And eventually he's just sent me it, but I was nerve wracking to one shot. That's it. That's all I could do, but I got it done. I was surprised.
So I had a job similar, not Marine Corps related, right? They brought a really old rifle to me to engrave on. Same thing, AJ. Like, luckily the customer actually brought it and he stayed there with me. So I was like, hey man, I would appreciate if when you bring this, you just kind of hang out, I'll have drinks and whatever, and maybe not beer or anything. Just,
I was going to say, get them liquored up before you screw it up.
Yeah.
Here, you push the button.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing. It was kind of how it was, Josh. It was like, hey, I'm going to lay this out. We took the rifle apart. It was a wooden stock. We put it in the laser, and I said, okay, hey, this is what you want. This is where it's going to go. I showed him it would trace it where it went. And I was like, are you good with it being right there? And he went, yep. And I was like, all right, start. Whatever comes out is what comes out. And sure enough, first was a logo. It came out perfect. And then we did the words separate. So we did his name, dates, and then whatever came under that. And I, again, framed it, put it right where it needed to be. And we put the rifle back together. And it was like the coolest thing ever. It was still nerve wracking because you're like, if I mess this up right now, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I have a really dumb question. As we were talking, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. So this is going to be the Lord of questions tonight. The lower on a specific pew pew, it starts with an A and ends in a 5.
Okay.
Is that powder coat? Or is that a different kind of coating?
No, okay, so it depends, right? Because a lot of those platforms, they have different stocks, right? So you have like classic M16 type thing that is just it's kind of it's like plastic, isn't it? Kind of like an ABS type deal.
Not the butt stock, but the lower.
Oh, yeah, that's no. Okay, so I know where you're going with this. You'll need a fiber to laser engrave that.
Yep.
I'm like, I could customize my own.
That's where the fiber laser gets into play, and then technically there's licenses that you have to get through the state and whatnot if it's not yours.
If you're selling it, though.
Yeah,
no, on my own.
I know. I'm just letting people out there know since we're
that's
discussing
fine.
this. If you're getting into that and you're selling your work, you have to make sure you get that license because you're technically modifying a firearm.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
And I would, to take it back a little bit, I was in Knapp Shoes where I had a client, which was my first shirt, sitting there while I was engraving a rifle for the commander that I was working for. And it was the same scenario. I'm like, hey, push this button. If it messes up, it's your fault.
Kind of how it works, right?
Yeah, I feel you, man. So,
and the second question, neither of you have a fiber laser, right?
Not yet, but
okay.
No.
Is it the same where you have to focus it, or because like I'm thinking of how, because I have a buddy of mine who has a fiber laser, and I have a pew pew that I would like to maybe do my own logo on, and not my logo, but just a logo. Does it need to be the same height? Like, because I mean, it's not a flat surface. Like the whole receiver is not flat.
So anytime you're lasering, technically you don't need a flat surface. You could do things that are round or like have a little bit of a slope to them. But for fiber, it's a little different. I've seen it done where you're trying to achieve should be okay. You're not going depending on like how tight that whatever you're trying to engrave is. But as far as like the benefits of fiber is you could do stuff like that. And if you get the right fiber laser, you can actually do color in the metal as well based on the frequency.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And like, that's why I kind of will go down that road, because I actually want to get the licensing so people could bring a firearm and they can get it done, and then maybe do inlays of like gold and silver in there too, because you can carve out enough where you can get in there. But yeah, man, I think you should be set depending on what part, which I think I know what part you're looking for, and you should be okay.
It's the one you hold.
Yeah.
That area.
Yeah.
With fiber, there is a focal length on a fiber.
Okay.
However, it is way more forgiving. Because if you notice, if you ever watch any of those videos out there, they're super far away.
Yeah, that's what I was noticing.
But and the reason why is because that it's not the focal length like a CO2. So a fiber, like Josh said, operates off of frequency. So if you do the right frequency, the right amount of passes, honestly, there's really nothing you can't do with that. Now, if you start doing oblong objects, things that have like a really steep curve, there might be a variation. But for what you're trying to do, there's so many people that laser engrave firearms, like 1911 slides and things like that. It's you will achieve what you're trying to achieve.
Unless you're trying to do a barrel or a cup or something so that like that, you're going to need a rotary. But anything else, you should be able to get away with.
And a lot of people use chuck rotaries for those.
Yeah.
Because it's so fast. But yeah.
Okay. Cool. So who wants to send me a fiber laser? Anybody?
Oh man, like that would be. I really want to get one. Like before I leave here, I will get one eventually once everything starts picking up. But that would be probably my next, if not a CNC, my next big thing in the shop.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time not getting a 4x8 or a 5x10, fellas, because I'm telling you right now, like I love Onefinity, I love the Foreman, I love the Elite. I've thought about getting that because the 4x4. But the projects I'm starting to do, like this F-15 barrel deal, like I maxed the capacity of my CNC with this thing.
You should totally go ahead and buy another CNC. I know someone that would buy your old one. I'm just saying.
Hey, listen, if it happened, it happens. I'll let you know, Josh, and I'll ship it to you. I have the original boxes and everything.
It'd be like opening up a new one.
Yeah,
make a wish.
We'll see what happens though, because I know there's some things in the works out there that are preventing me from doing certain things, and I will wait for those times to pass. But on that, rest of my shop. What the hell is going on in my shop? Oh, shadow boxes. I got like 3 more shadow box orders. I was like, holy crap. All right. There's that. And I'm pretty sure I got another one coming from Florida from my buddy that had his shadow box that was messed up and then fixed. So I'm pretty excited for those. That's kind of really what's going on in the shop as far as jobs are concerned. Because honestly, like a lot of it's just production work right now, other than the barrel mount that I'm making. I'm trying to think, preparing for the winter. If you don't know, Minot gets super effing cold.
It's the tropics.
Yeah, totally. The tropics of the tundra. Yeah. So we're dealing with that. It's raining a lot right now, which tells me the weather's going to turn for the worst. Not shop related. The hunting season is ripe right now. We are putting ducks down. A pheasant season starts this weekend, so I'm going to go put down some roosters. I'm pretty excited for that. And I know for those that are listening, if you think like, killing animals is not cool and everything.
I'm offended.
Well,
I'm offended.
I use everything I can from the animal that I kill. So there's that.
Oh, I'm deeply offended.
I have my rifle tag for my deer that I'm going to get in the mid-November. I'm super excited for that. I bought a rifle.
They're poor, helpless animals. That's a little Bambi.
Oh, this ain't gonna be a little Bambi. This is gonna be a thick Bambi that's gonna feed me for the year.
A CC or a CK?
CC, 2 C's.
Okay, just want to make sure. That's weird that you're looking at these Bambis with a CC at the end. That's strange, Nap. That's strange. Damn, look at that thick Bambi over there.
This took a turn.
Anyway.
Nap, you're a sick man.
Oh God! Please don't watch the Disney live version of Bambi when it comes out. Just all I gotta say.
Are they going to be? What do you know that we don't?
No,
Bambi's
it's just
gonna die. You're gonna see the actual thing happen.
Ooh, it's a movie.
But no. So hunting is going to be a focus of mine. I think so. I'm actually stopping my orders this month. Whatever comes through is what I'm doing because December is baby time. December 19th is when my son Asher will come into this world, and I'm going to be focused on that. Other than a little bit of shop time here and there, I think the shop time I'm going to focus on making it better. The shop's good now, but I don't really want to be making anything. I'd rather just make the shop better, you know. But that's about it, though. That's what's going on in the shop. I'm excited to just get on with the next chapter, and that's having a second kid. It's gonna be interesting.
Nice. Very nice.
But on that note, AJ, I know you have shop time. A lot of stuff going on in the shop. Other things happening in your world, maybe helpers and things. What's going on, man?
Well, real quick, Jason mentioned that couldn't you just get longer bars and stuff for your Onefinity? I thought that was like customizable, so you could go bigger.
So, in theory, yes. However, the people that made the Onefinity engineered it in such a way that there would be no slack, there would be no bend, there would be no drooping of the machine. Now, could I do it? Sure. I'm sure it could happen. But I'm not going to avoid my warranty on that machine.
Makes sense.
Because if I have something go wrong with it, I want to be able to reach out to Onefinity and say, hey, this is broke. Help me.
Yeah.
But when I eventually maybe make a move on another machine, if I don't sell Josh my machine, which if I do, Josh, you'll be the first person I call, by the way. I might alter it a little bit. There's already alterations that are going to occur. I'm waiting for Onefinity to come out with the upgrade pathway for the current Journeyman because they have the Elite, which has the Mazzo and all the stuffs. But they do have an upgrade path coming to where you can get the Mazzo and all the things and attach it to your current machine and operate as if you had an Elite machine. So I'm waiting for that to happen. When that happens, cool. Longer bars, maybe. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I asked a lot of questions, but to go on into what was going on in my shop, I was supposed to go to a craft fair on Saturday, and I wasn't able to go because I decided that I was still young enough to lift a heavy tote. So I lifted as I was packing up the truck early in the morning, I lifted the tote and threw my back out really bad. So I was down for the count. And I couldn't move. I had to go on the couch. I was icing it, putting heat on it. And by time I even started to feel a little bit better, I was way too late. It was going to be almost 3-hour drive down. So I wouldn't have made it anyway. So really, I just chalked it up to oh, well, this sucks. And I learned from my mistake. And so next time I won't lift such a heavy tote because I don't have small totes. I have these big ones, and I just pack them full. And I don't know why I just don't get smaller ones. It would make my life a lot easier.
But silver lining here, you have all that stuff now for another craft fair. You're winning.
And I have one coming up in 2 weeks.
Perfect. So the procrastination, it's not really there, but it's there. But you have all sorts of stuff that you can now reuse.
And I was talking to another maker. I'm pretty sure you guys follow him, Danny, over at Upper Room Creations. Mm-hmm. He was down there for 2 days, and he told me the stuff he sold. And he does a lot of cornhole boards as well. And he said the cornhole boards didn't sell. Just some small items. He still made something, but it wasn't like everything was flying off the shelves. So I was kind of happy because who knows? My stuff might not have sold because here's the other problem. And I don't know if you guys haven't done any craft fairs, right?
I've done a couple, but that was when I was in Texas. And honestly,
Okay.
man, it was cool. I sold a lot of little things, like you said, a lot
Yeah.
of little trinkets. We toyed with the idea of laser cutting like ornaments and stuff so they could paint them and those sorts of things. Those sell pretty good, but when you start asking for money for like cutting boards and those things, people look at them like, why is it so much money? And then you're like, well, let me tell you why. So I don't.
It's a little twofold issue, especially down in the Pine Barrens. There's no cell service, like none. So you can't use your card readers or anything. And Kim and I were talking, and she goes, who is going to want to walk out of their house with $400, $500, $600, $700 of cash? They would rather put it on a card than they could pay it off. No one's going to want to pay that much money for one item. So, I mean, it was a silver lining, that I was able to now stock up for this other craft fair that I got coming up. But it just sucked because I was looking forward to it. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to sit down for almost 3 hours in the truck and try driving down there. So I said, screw it. We'll go next year and we'll call it a day at this point. So I just rested because I was up until about 3:30 that morning getting stuff ready for this fair. So I was busting my ass getting stuff ready. And then yeah, dude, at 4:30. So I got done at 3:30. I went on the couch. I fell asleep for maybe a half an hour. Kim and I both woke up. And then I said, all right, I'm going to go downstairs and start packing. She comes downstairs and I'm in dire pain. And she's like, what's going on? So I told her and I'm like, I can't go. So anyway, that was my fun and exciting Saturday that I didn't get to go down. But it is what it is. I can't cry over spilt milk at this point. So I got another craft fair coming up in Warwick, New York, which is 2 weeks from now. So the 14th and 15th, I believe. I'm going to do both days. And then I got one in early November and late November. But what's going on in the shop right now, I have a ton of stuff to do. I got a lot of laser projects. I got 3D insignias that I'm doing. I'm doing a Navy insignia and not 3D carve, 3D laser like my normal.
Yeah.
And then I got a fire department one. They're about 10 inches round. So I'm going to be doing 2 of those. I have my first thin blue line standalone patch. So it's going to be the patch itself is going to be about 12 inch. It's going to be a 3D layered one. And it's going to be on like maybe an 18 tall block of wood with a frame. And the background, I'm going to stain black and blue for the thin blue line. Mm-hmm. And then the guy wants a nameplate underneath it. So that's, I've always wanted to make something like that. And it's going to be pretty cool. I don't know what else I really have. I wrote some things down, but you were talking about, Knapp was saying something about somebody wanted something done quick, but I don't think you'd had enough time. But I had a customer reach out to me, actually a donation. I've donated to her, this girl, quite a few times for officers down in Kentucky. And what she does is she gifts the items to the police officers if they're new recruits or whatnot. And she also takes donations of like food, gift cards, all these different things just to give back. She messaged me the other day. She's like, hey, is it possible to get 4 flags to donate? And I was like, when do you need them by? She said the 14th. And I was like, the 14th of October? So in her defense, she just found out about this thing. And I'm like, there ain't no way in hell I could ever do that. I'm sorry. Like, no way. I could never do that.
That's asking for a lot.
Yeah. So I told her I'll make some small things for her because I always like giving to her. She always posts it up and whatnot. And the guys always look happy.
It'd be really cool, AJ, is if you take, so it's for officers, right? And you have their badge, I would assume.
Either the badge or they're like just the patch of the department.
So I would reach out, try to get like maybe a 3D model and make 3D patches because believe it or not, it's fast.
Yes, it is.
It's doable.
I know. I need to because I wanted to. And I think I talked to Josh about this and then he told me to talk to also Ben, who is in the chat. He said to reach out to Ben because he knows everything about 3D carving. I would love to do 3D, like the gold badges. I would love to do those in 3D, like out of a piece of something out of cherry, walnut, something to attach to a flag or to have as a standalone, because that would look so much better than the badges that I do. I can't get all that fine detail. It's all flat. So I just I haven't pushed that go button on the 3Ds because I'm so scared of it. I'm really like hesitant. I don't want to screw it up. Now, if you recall, I don't know how long you've been listening to the podcast now, but if you recall,
every episode, my friend,
every episode since episode 1.
Yes,
3 times.
As a matter of fact, I listened from when I first joined the podcast. I started from episode 1 all the way through.
He did his research.
Okay. So I think Josh already knows where I'm going with this. I've had this one project for Tools Today, who I love. I love Tools Today. I've had this. So Tools. Kim and I have been married now for 3 years. I've had this project. I've had this project in the works for over 3 years because I'm too scared to learn 3D carving. So they sent me bits and everything. And I told them, I was like, hey, my wife and I are getting married. So, I can't do it right now. And then it just one thing and another, it just snowballed into, I can't get it done right now because I don't know how to do it. Here's one thing that I learned from somebody. Actually, I was over at Peter's house, Petrie's workshop, and I was talking to him about 3D carving, and he gave me a really brilliant idea, and I was very shocked at this, why I didn't think of it. You know that pink insulation foam board?
Yep. Yeah.
He said, why don't you take that, laminate them so that they're the same thickness of your piece of wood that you want to use, and just run your files on that and test it. He said, because what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to dive into the foam, and you're going to screw the foam up. At least then it's foam. You're not breaking bits. You're not, worrying about breaking your router, the machine itself. And I was like, that's a really, really good idea. Have I done it yet? No, I haven't, but I eventually will.
Can I put your mind at ease with 3D carving?
Yes, I would like to.
So a 3D carve is no different than a 2D carve. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, it's one more D though. And I can't take that D.
No. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this because I also shared the same fear, AJ, when I started 3D carving, of the extra D, of course. So when you do a 3D carve, you zero off the surface of the material, you do the things, and it runs.
Uh-huh.
Same thing for 3D. Literally the same thing. The only thing that's different, okay, is making sure when you set your tools up is that your depth per pass is not conservative, but appropriate for whatever you're doing. All of it's the same. And yes, Ben, if Nap can do it, anybody can. And it's so
if
true.
Nap can take the extra D, anyone can take the extra D.
Yeah, right? Ooh, zing! But seriously, so when you're doing 3D carving, once you get past the roughing pass, the finishing pass is super easy.
Unless you have my CNC.
Yeah, right. Just making sure, if there's one bit of advice when you go to do this for the first time, make sure you pick a point that you can get the same zero on the Z. Because if you don't do that, that's when things get hairy. But honestly, AJ, you're a smart enough dude that I'm pretty sure you'll run your roughing pass wherever it's going to be. If I were you, I would make a piece of stock that's oversized. So when you zero it and you program it, you'll have a spot on that piece of stock that's flat, that hasn't been carved. So when it comes back to do its second zero or you run your second tool path, you'll have the exact same Z and it'll be fine. I promise you, it's not as scary as you think. It looks scary because when you watch it do its thing, it's making all these super deep cuts and this, that, and the other. It's not that bad. Once you get past roughing, the finishing is easy. And Ben even said in the chat, I would be happy to help any way he can. So I assure you, it's the same as 2D carving, my friend.
It would be nice if I wasn't muted.
Yeah.
I would definitely reach out to Ben about this because but I also want to voice it here. I was watching a YouTube video. A gentleman put on, I want to say maybe a half an hour video, and I went step by step, and he was using Vectric as well. So I went step by step with him. There was one thing that he screwed me up on because as he said it, he also put up a subtitle that said like a correction. And the correction that he said was he told you if your wood was, I don't know, 2 inches thick, to put 2.5 inches thick. And for some reason, that really threw me off, and I never could grasp that. So I guess that's where I was getting unsure of. Like, I didn't want to cut through it or, set it up wrong. I have the file. I have the file literally right in front of me, and it's almost a full 3 years since I built this file.
Hey, AJ, you should send me that file, and I'll show you step by step how to do it.
I think I already did.
Not tools today, if that's what you're talking about.
I sent it to so many people because I was like, I need help with this, and I just don't. You know what? Here's one last question, and then we can go on to something else because I know Josh is itching to talk about his dog. But what kind of file do you need? Because like I have a ton of SVGs for all the patches and stuff like that.
Sure.
Can you use an SVG or do you need an STL?
So, okay. Depending on what version of Vectric you have, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, you can take a 2D or SVG and you can create the 3D in Aspire. But if you get an STL made for you, you can cut it in Vectric VCarve, the step below Aspire.
I have Aspire. I'm running an old version though. I'm running 9.011.
So Ben is the better person to tell you how to make an SVG into a 3D file. But if you can get an STL made of your SVG, it's easy as hell.
Huh.
So,
What is the difference between the SVG and the STL? Why is the STL easier?
Because the STL's already got the shading required. We'll call it the shading required for the 3D image. So if you look at a 3D image in Vectric, you'll notice there'll be whites to grays to black. Okay, that dictates depth of cut.
Yes, okay.
So like if it's a really light gray, it's going to be a shallow cut, whereas black is going to be a super deep cut.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, I'm seeing that on this file.
So, AJ, you have 3D printers, right? The file type
one.
you use, well, you've had multiple.
Yes.
So the file you use is STL because
Yes.
it's 3-dimensional. It's the same principle. You're using a 3-dimensional file to create the piece.
Huh.
So you could do that. You can actually take STL from 3D printing and create that and use that on your actual CNC. It's back and forth. You could take an SVG, make it 3-dimensional, and you could actually print it on your 3D printer. It's how the program interpolates, and basically you're not really dealing with 3-dimensionals, which you think you are in the CNC. It's still technically 2D. You know what I'm saying? It's
making a 3D relief.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely, Ben, I definitely will reach out at some point very soon because I definitely want to learn this and see. And Nap, I can definitely send you that. I'm going to keep saying definitely. I'm going to definitely send you that definitely.
Do it now.
Yeah, let me send that to you right now. Okay, I'm sending that right now, definitely.
Right now.
And to be fair, AJ, when I eventually get this file from you, I'll take a piece of stock and honestly, man, I'll make a video and we'll talk about it. It's not going to be it's not going to be hard. I promise you. You'll be like, really? That's what this is? That's all I got to do? And you're like, oh, okay, cool. I got this. I promise you.
I hope so because I keep toying around with the idea of doing those 3D patches, especially on a flag.
Dude, it would be awesome.
And I even saw, well, no, I'm not even going to get into it. I would like to do that. And then also I really want to learn it because I have the customer who's been hanging around for over 2 years and he wants standalone patches, but I don't want to do them in 2D. I want them to be I want them to have that curvature to them. I want to make them look like his real badge. And that would really be an icing on the cake. I'm not going to charge him more because he's been waiting so long, but I would like to give him a superior product. So I'm definitely going to get with you. Not get with you like that, but I'm going to get with you.
Yeah, I got you.
About 3D carving. So
I
that
got
we can
you.
get
You
that one
me.
more D.
Got you, bro.
Nice. He's got me. All right. Anyway, because I keep taking over the show, because it is my show, and you guys are just the guest hosts, Josh, I really need to know what your dog's name is, how old your dog is, and can Nap and I have visiting rights?
You're going to have visiting rights. We just named her Lady. Her name is Lady.
Okay.
You must be the tramp.
12 weeks old.
So, wow, look at that. 12 weeks. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
That is weird.
Relatable?
Well,
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do have something to relate to that. My brother is expecting another child. So he let me know this last weekend that I'll be another, uncle times 3 now. So, and then we got the puppy. And so it was a pretty good weekend. And such a good weekend that when I went into work on Monday, I was like, nah, not doing this. So I took time off. And I pretty much did what I did to my shop the last couple of weeks. Opened the doors like, nah, and shut it. So I came back home, spent time with the family and the puppy. And today I was able to get into the shop. I flood coated the coffee table. And remind you, I've already epoxied this entire thing, like a lot. So when I flood coat it and I suddenly get bubbles, where the F did the bubbles come from? Where did it come from?
I can tell you.
There's no place for the bubbles. It's coming from the piece.
I can tell you.
Like,
I can tell you where those bubbles came from because I've also suffered from the bubblage during the epoxy.
I thought by epoxying this entire thing.
Did you take the shirt off? What the hell? Oh,
that's why the camera went off.
I had to get naked real quick.
Hold on. But the patrons get the strippage though. Anyways, it's because your piece was not completely sealed, Josh. That is why you have bubbles.
Well, no kidding. Yeah, thank you. I got that.
You're welcome. I'm here for the obvious. I'm here all day.
But it's one of those things where, like, when you think something is complete and you do something and something like that happens, you're sitting there and you're like, come on, like, I did everything right, or you thought I did everything right. And I tried to battle it, but it came down to is I'm going to have to do another flood pour, and it's going to have like 4 inches of epoxy on top of this thing, but whatever.
Hey, so real quick on the 3D piece, Ben has a really good friend. His name is Michael Mazalik. And if you haven't looked this guy up on YouTube yet, you need to, because I'll tell you what, AJ, your 3D woes, Michael Mazalik, that's your guy.
Yes, absolutely.
So record that name and definitely look it up. But Michael Mazalik, now that man, so Ben is a 3D god as far as we're concerned. Michael Mazalik, he's like above that.
He taught Ben.
Yeah.
He taught Ben, and now we learn from Ben.
So Michael said he would come on the episode if we ask, and we will definitely probably have that. I think we're going to have to plan how we're going to do that episode, because I would definitely like to see some how-tos and maybe even some kind of sharing a video type thing.
That might be one of the longer episodes where we break into 2 parts, just so we can get everything into. Yeah, long story short, he does have some pretty good videos and how-tos, and I've watched a couple with Ben, and they will definitely help you out on your journey when it comes to anything CNC and veteran. But long story short, the coffee table had bubbles, so I had to report. Kind of bummer, because I was hoping that tomorrow I'll clean it up and I was able to put it out, but stuff happens, right? I'll also be starting on the 2 side tables and the rest of the projects. I did get a plaque from a gentleman I work with. He wants me to go ahead and make a plaque from a gift that he received when he left Guam. So I'll be doing that for him. And so we got a couple things going in the shop. I cleaned the closet up a little bit. Still, holding on to things I probably don't need. Like I have sections of hoses and stuff like that. And like for some reason I haven't thrown them out. I have some just overall stuff I need to get rid of. But kind of went through today and cleaned a lot of that out. And you think when I moved, I would have got rid of it. But, as you're packing, you're like, oh, I can use this. Oh, I can use that. But in reality, you're not going to. The Star Wars lamp that I've been talking about for the last year and a half. I've actually glued that together, and I'm going to pour an epoxy mold with that and get that working as well. And hopefully I'll have that lamp complete. It's with the Death Trooper helmet with it broken away in a skull, and it's going to have 2 maple pieces on top and bottom. And I'm going to introduce some more greenery in there and stuff like I did with the table, which you guys have not seen. But it's all going to come together. A lot of work with epoxy.
Why are you holding out on us? You're holding out on us. How dare you?
What are you talking about?
Not showing me the other tables you're working on? What the hell, man?
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things where pouring epoxy is, there's so many videos and stuff about that. I just kind of was going to show the end process and kind of the real style that I do. But that's about it. Other than, let's see, we talked about the epoxy. I'm doing a lot of epoxy projects right now. Trying to do a lot of furniture for the house. I have some projects on going out. And then I also been doing or in the process of making some 3D prints, a lot of lightsabers from the different movies and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't call myself a Star Wars, super fan or anything like that. But there's certain things that interest me, and that is one. So I'll be doing stuff like that. I'll be using both the fire or filament and then the resin to make certain things. There's a cutaway of a lightsaber, and I think that's pretty cool. So I'm going to do something like that. It's going to take some gluing and some putting together. But
you should send me one of those STLs so I can make an aluminum lightsaber on my rotary.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's a lot of things that we could do with that. We should team up. But anyway, that's about what's going on in my shop. This last weekend was a whirlwind between the announcement from my brother, getting a new pup, which is a huge pup. Let me tell you, you guys saw her in the beginning, and that's a 12-week-old puppy. It's going to be a horse. But anyway, she's sweet, she's kind, and she fits in the family well. For being a puppy, she is listening fairly well. She is doing good with her training, and she's actually sitting right next to me in her crate because that's where she goes when she's tired or bored or whatever, because she, some reason, likes her crate. And I can actually be on the podcast and have a puppy next to me, which is, I thought, unheard of. So, I'm extremely grateful for the last week and everything that's happened. So, but that kind of sums up my last week. You should have, if you guys didn't show up for the giveaway, you should have gave away a nice miter saw dust collection, and we might do that again depending on how they like it. So next giveaway is coming up.
Miter saw.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a miter saw dust collection hood.
Yep.
Is that for the whole thing?
Yeah, so it hooks up to the back of the miter saw, catches the dust, and it has a dust port on the bottom that you hook up a DC to, and then
Which miter saw are you running? Both of these?
DeWalt for now.
Bosch.
Okay. I was going to say, did you ever see that 3D printed piece that goes behind the blade?
And I've been told by people that have used it that they did not like it.
Really?
But I know that he's come out with different versions since they bought it. And I mean, if it works, it works. I don't know. I've never tried it myself, but it's one of those things where, I haven't tried it, so I can't really speak to it. I've heard third hand.
I was just curious. Oh, and also, not to throw you under the bus, but your son apparently won Student of the Month as well.
Oh, yep. I was going to mention that. I got called out.
I don't know if he was going to mention that. Heather, don't listen to him. He wasn't going to.
I was going to wrap up the episode with,
he was all done.
Killing it right now.
Totally throwing me under the bus. You guys
That's it. Heather, he's lying. He wasn't going to. He completely forgot. The puppy got to him. And then
the puppy did get to me. But he actually went through the month, his first month in school. And we got to show up and get on stage with him. And basically, he was surprised. We surprised him by being on stage, and he was surprised about the announcement. So we're super proud of him. Like I said, a lot has happened this last week with different things, and it's all great stuff. So I'm looking for any more reminders that might pop up. I'm waiting a second. Nope, no
That's
reminders.
why I tune in.
Okay.
She's letting you know. She's keeping you straight, Josh.
Yeah, she's keeping tabs on you.
But
as you should. So, but
that's
that's about it.
Keep tabs. We're gonna keep tabs on wrapping the episode up.
That kind of worked.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, not really, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
No, it didn't work.
Which role was
Final cut.
No.
Hey, but yeah, we are just over an hour now on the episode.
Yes, we are.
And we can go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. Crickets.
I don't know who's wrapping up because I would just come on every once in a while.
I mean, you might as well just be a part of us, at this time. But
Part of you guys?
Yeah, part of us, maybe rejoining us.
Become one.
The 3Ds
of dodgeball, 5Ds of that. You're stupid.
Never mind.
Anyway, but all right, hey, so seriously, for those folks that are listening to us on Sawdust Podcast, whether it be through Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the things that you could be listening us to, thank you. Because without you all and the support that you give us, we honestly couldn't do what we're doing. And to be fair, I think we're at like 65,000 downloads now. We're climbing.
Yeah, 65, 67, around there. Yep.
Something
Who's
like
counting?
that. But yeah, who's counting, right? We're doing good. I think we're doing good. You all give us the energy that we need to come on here and give you all the information that we give you, whether it just be BS and talking about the shops or, talking about procrastination last episode or, just going through the question gauntlet that AJ put me through today, which I appreciate it because
I come on with a bunch of questions. I can't remember them during the week, but I remember them here.
Yeah. We will be getting better about things as far as posting content on the IG and whatnot. But I'm going to tell you what, folks, life gets in the way. We're not full-time. We're part-time. We do what we can. We will always help you all when y'all need it. Call us, send us messages on Instagram, Sawdust Nation Podcast, Gmail, whatever the case may be. Reach out when you need us. We're not non-existent other than the episodes that we're recording. It's just a matter of, you making the input to reach out to us. Outside of that, keep taking care of each other, keep making the community stronger, and be ready for the giveaway in December because Workbench Con tickets are on the chopping block for you all. Outside of that, AJ, what do you got, man? Final words?
No, not really. I appreciate coming on. And remember, piece by piece, UPS ground. I will insure it. Just give me the single page. And then by the next thing you know, I might have a helichopper in the backyard.
A helicopter.
I don't need it to run. I just want it like a lawn ornament. That's it. I mean, who the hell has an Apache just sitting on their front lawn?
That's
if you got a Black Hawk, I'll take one of those as well. I mean, I really don't care. I mean, hey, if you guys could find that F-35 that you guys lost, I'll take that too.
That's too soon.
Oh, we found that. Yeah, we found that.
It was in pieces and like literally a scorched pile of rubble.
That was the Marines, wasn't that?
I don't know. It has wings. It's a plane. You guys are the Air Force. I mean, you guys are good. It's the same stuff.
With it. Wings. You guys are going to get us banned.
Also, on Facebook Marketplace, I saw somebody selling for one of an F-35 for $1 million. So I don't know if it was real or not.
Just $1 million?
It was out of the Bronx. Yeah. Yeah, it was just $1 million.
I think we talked about scams.
Are you sure it's a scam? I messaged. I asked if it was still available.
They said yes.
He said yes. He said cash on delivery.
Fair enough.
I'm joking. I didn't message.
I'll believe the day that happens. But anyways.
Yes,
Josh, close up, man. Close us up with your final words.
Hey, so if you didn't, like I said before, didn't join us for the giveaway, we hope to see you in the next one. If you have something you'd like to win, let us know. If it's reasonable, we can put it up there and you have a chance to win. If you're a Patreon, you get 2 entries on the 3rd tier. But with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode 171. You get in the shop, you make some sawdust. And with that, Sawdust Nation podcast out.
Ow. Oh, I meant out, not ow.
We know you hurt your back. It's
yes,
okay.
yes. And I hurt my feelings. Yes, a lot of D's. A lot of D's. I only need 3, but I'm stuck with 2 for right now.